All right, YouTube. Hey, it's been a minute. We're going to do something in March at least. Everybody and their mom's on a 2 hour delay today, so welcome to the Great White North. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy my coffee while we see if there's anybody checks in with us. Um, we This is the remnants of the Great Blizzard of 2024. If anybody's paying attention to any of the weather situation going on, we had quite the snowstorm up in the mountains in particular. Bunch of people decided to go up into Donner Pass when a blizzard's coming and got stuck. They got stranded for several days. I don't. They may have opened it this morning, but it was closed for like the better part of 2.5 days, and dozens of vehicles and even more trucks got stuck up there, waiting that out as they were trying to clear out the snow and the wrecks. But forewarned is forearmed. But apparently people don't follow that principle up there, especially when they're trying to get back to California. I guess they were desperate to get back before the weekend or something. I don't know what they were thinking, but lots of people got stranded up there in the midst. Truckers in particular. Like, I think if you're a professional truck driver, you would have enough. Even if you don't have the common sense to not drive into Donner Pass in a blizzard, your dispatch would have enough common sense to say, "Hey, don't do that." But no, yeah, videos of just line of trucks stuck up there over the weekend, and they should be clearing that out there this morning. But I guess everybody had enough fuel. I never heard of nobody expiring on the road, so I don't think anybody froze to death or anything. But it was quite the event. About a foot down here. So a good little winter storm. It tends to, just it's one of those. I haven't put anything on paper, and I haven't evaluated, the exact starts and put anything on the calendars. But over the last decade, it seems to me that winter is shifting more and more to the left, to where it's, or is it to the right? To the right, to where winter starts later, but it ends later too. Like, we don't seem to really get into winter until January, whereas before, you'd get something in November, and now it's not ending until April. So it's kind of interesting how it seems like it's winter weather is shifting, for what it's worth. Totally anecdotal, totally my own opinion, but it's just one of those things seems like it's a trend. I don't know. You could probably look up the stats to try to back it up, but I ain't got time for that. But hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's entertained going into March. And are they ever going to let the election season die because it's already baked in the cake? Like, they've already determined who they're going to have on the ballot in November. So why are they even talking about it? And it's like all the hype that is everywhere about the supposed election is just laughable. It's like Nikki Haley won DC. Like, does it matter? I put on the that came out yesterday, I guess. I put on the Twitter, like, if DC's for it, I'm against it. Like, there's no way. Like, that makes me definitely. I mean, we are pretty sure when the Koch brothers and Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan backed her that she was definitely a bad egg. But why is she still around? Like, interesting how they're trying to drag that out like there's actually an election process going on. But more to follow, I guess, because it never ends, it seems like. And everybody knows what the ultimate outcome is going to be: more debt, more war. Like, who's going to stop any of this? Got some check-ins. Steve is in the house. Chipper, what's going on? And the adventurous guide of the galaxy, what is going on? Taking videos of rockets and all kinds of stuff down there. And dog with stick. Get the stick. Finding the stick is the latest thing on the Twitter too. It's been a trend. So if everybody knows, like, if you get a good stick, it's hard to let down. But I mean, what is going on? Like, you try to look under the layers, and it's like try to continue to evaluate. Like, the debt's still a problem as much as they try to ignore it. So, how are they going to make it so the debt is not a problem? As and starting war, we know is a big part of that, and we know that what they're doing in Central Europe. Thus, the thumbnail. If you saw the thumbnail on the way in, that came across the Twitter. I'm not sure what that represents or where it came from. It looks like it's from a newscast or something, maybe from Eastern Europe somewhere. But it's like Ukraine will be lucky to get out and survive to have that much land, in my opinion. I said this way back. Either Russia's going to take it all, or the whole plan is to divide Ukraine between the EU and Russia, and it no longer exists. Ukraine is not going to exist as a sovereign nation after this, because that's the plan, in my opinion, because they were still too independent, doing their own thing, and they had too many resources of importance to allow to maintain to exist. So the plan was put in place back, who knows, 20, 30 years ago. 2014 rolls around, 2012 rolls around, coup attempts and everything else, the whole process. And here we are. So sorry for the Ukrainian people, but I don't see how they get out of this. And maybe there's some part of Kiev that still controls some territory, but it's going to be a subordinate state to the EU in that form, regardless. I don't see that progressing very well for them, but we'll see if it becomes the ultimate Russian takeover or what, to be determined. But it doesn't look good for them. Who else we got joining us here? Well, let me check. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Liberty, how you doing? Thanks for joining. They live. We only got an inch or two in foul. Oh, is that right? Yeah, they got about a foot here in Carson. And we know what happened in the mountains, like chaos, 10, 15 feet. Just it got hit the mountains Friday and just stalled all weekend. Like they kept saying, like, this could be, a lull. And it just 24 inches later, they're like, it's still going. The snowfall was tremendous up in the mountains in particular, but winter's still kicking for sure. It's a good one. Fortunately, we needed the snowpack. I think we were at like 85% snowpack last week, and now I think we're going to be well over 100% now. So everything's setting up good for people out in Fallon in particular, getting that water and stuff as we need. So a couple good back-to-back years, and unlike California, because Nevada is a basin state and we've had to do this for centuries, Nevada stores its water, unlike California. So stays up there as snow, we collect it and able to store it as needed. Now the big year of 2017 was an anomaly. We had to dump some out in the desert, but nothing like what California does. Just letting millions and millions of cubic feet of water. Poison Stinger in the house. What's up? Coffee's up, buddy. If anybody's watching the markets, Bitcoin is off to the races. Gold is off to the races. What that means for the dollar, I'm not sure. Doesn't bode well for the dollar. But it goes back to that question of how are they going to make the debt not matter? So however they work that out is the question on the mind, because we all know the number is just stupid. 34, I mean, it was what, the last article I saw, they added a trillion to the debt in 100 days. Like, talk about unsustainable. But is it sustainable? Because they're not actually printing it. We know that. It's just on a computer. So they can run numbers on a computer all day. How do they make it so that it doesn't impact just literally everything? Like everything from what you buy to wages to everything. Like this is so I guess I get how having digital inflation isn't as noticeable it was, in the Weimar days and other hyperinflations that have occurred on paper, because the demand for paper is such and you have to print it and it gets out there in its physical form and it's visible, and inflation becomes real to people. When it's digital, it's just not as real. um, so I don't know, we'll see how they do it. I'm just not sure how they're going to get around it or make it not matter, because they're going to try, because the banker's whole goal is to own everything, so they're going to make it somehow, some way. um, and they're talking about the interest rates, and little there's still shakiness in the banking sector. That's like, yep, they just want to keep these little banks getting eat up by the big banks until there's only a couple of the big guys. But it's one of those things, you can only stay away from the debt as much as you can to avoid that situation, and have as much physical real things as you can that you control in your hands, because if you don't hold it, you don't own it, especially in a digital world. And Wes kind of touched on this last night in his live chat, just how he has stuff invested in. You got to play with what the hand you're dealt, and you got to do what you think is best. But at a certain point, you got to realize, when do you need to get out, and how much wealth you have, how much value you have tucked away in these places, in digital resources that are continuing to accrue, it looks like. But at some point, you gotta move them out and put it in something that's real. Otherwise, you're gonna still be left holding nothing when all the chairs are gone, right? So I'm just here to show the view. That's the only reason I'm here. Liberty Garden says, what does he say there? If you have land, ask yourself, will you take more or less dollars for it if BTC goes up? Is that Bitcoin? The BTC? More or less? Well, we know the inflation related to land prices has been obscene. I said it in a video, the only advantage Bitcoin has is speed of transaction and distance. You can transact around the world almost instantly, right? That's its advantage. That's what's beneficial. If somebody walks up to me to ask to buy land, I'm not going to expect Bitcoin. I'm going to expect something a lot more. It's like, you're here, I'm here. Like, you better exchange something. That's the way I think about that Liberty. Liberty Garden. We got another Liberty Metals in here. Yeah, I can't just imagine working in a physical transaction and somebody offers me Bitcoin that's standing right in front of me, like, what? Maybe one day. And I just see the transition to central bank digital at some point. Yeah, the video of the past was pretty impressive, wasn't it? See what I missed here. Yeah, Adventurous Guide. You got that. It's good to, I guess it's good. You've got some increased value in the Bitcoin. At what point are you able to convert it into something real? And only you can determine when that needs to be. I don't know. Sounds like a good pair of MVGs is in order. Who knows? It depends on what your plan is, right? How long you plan on holding. But the real inflation, gas has went up like 40 cents here in the last week and a half or so, out of nowhere, middle of winter still. That's unusual. I don't think they shut down refineries to do the conversion to summer this early. I mean, it's just now turned to March. I thought that was an April thing. That's another reason way California really screws us over here. But yeah, gas prices just shot up just in a week. Um, so I don't know what that's about, but never did see it go below $3. Correction. That last trip I took when I had those driving videos, that the audio quality was lousy. I don't know what happened there. Well, I kind of do, but anyway. um, I briefly saw 295, I think, on that trip on the interstate. So, but I didn't actually get it. But yeah, it's been above $3 around here the whole time, and now it's shot back up. We're up what 359, 369 now, depending on where you're at. Dad on the YouTube doing the inflation tracker thing, the real value tracking. What was he? Last video he was doing his garden, so kind of got off the subject. But speaking of, he was talking about a gallon of gas plus a value meal at the McDonald's or whatever would be the minimum wage. If they don't balance out, the average person's doing pretty bad. The minimum wage worker, who's minimum wage person's doing already bad already. Liberty says eventually BTC will be the standard against which all currencies will be measured. Why would the central bank let that happen, Liberty? I don't see how that would work, but maybe. Governments and bankers don't like not having the control. I think its days are short-lived at some point. Running out of diesel again? Is that, you think that's coming, Chipper? No, they. I haven't heard anything about that. There was the talk about the trucker strike going into New York a couple weeks ago. Nothing came of that, I don't think. That didn't happen. So the YouTube experts. Even manipulation is hard to predict. Yes, indeed. That's a true statement. Very hard to predict. Even the manipulators can't control everything, right? Hold on a second here. Hey, Walter Davis, what's up? Lurking in the background. All right. And that's the thing, even the globalists can only control so much, right? So, you got to balance that out. And as we've talked about the biblical worldview, like some of this is, we know the mark of the beast, the limiting of transactions, the limiting of markets is going to come, starvation, death. So all those things are coming about at some point in some way. How that happens is the question. So you kind of got to balance those two things out, I guess. Or we're not even living in those times yet. It just seems like it, because it seems like it's that much worse than it was. But there seems to be corollaries and things that line up. You don't want to just assume, but it does look awfully sporty when you compare some of the things going on, the power of a central organized force that it has over people, the technology, what the technology can do versus what's written in the book, and be like, you can see. I mean, I remember we used to read it, back in as kids, we were doing studies and stuff or whatever. It's like, well, how would that even happen? Like, how do you stop people from buying and trading and everybody has to get this mark? And it's like, all these videos, people waving their hands across scanners and stuff. It's like, oh, that's how it happens. Like, it's, well, I mean, the potential is there. It's already, the groundwork is laid. It's just a matter of implementation and how it happens, really. So staying frosty on that front, you know what I'm saying? Like, still do your things, you know, to protect you and yours. But no, there's some things you just can't fight, I guess. Some things are just going to occur. Um, and how you deal with it is the issue. How do you get through it? How do you deal with it? You know, that's on us. Who's getting beat hard, adventurous? True poison. True. They're getting beat hard by crypto savings percentages. The banks are 1/100th of that, so they have to absorb it. Stinger, you still in Arizona? You still down around Phoenix way? How's the illegal issue? The surge at the border, which was a hot topic, you know, a month ago, kind of died down a little bit now. Why is that? Did people stop coming across the border? There was just an article this morning. There's a mass casualty declared in San Diego at the border because a bunch of people fell off the fence, I guess. Border Control asked for assistance. San Diego declared a mass casualty, so the border situation hasn't gotten any better. Just by that alone. But it seems to have not taken as much bandwidth in the news cycle, which is probably the time we need to be most concerned. Just by rough numbers, there's over a division of Chinese age military males in the country. So that means there's probably 2 divisionals operational in the country, for what it's worth. That doesn't bode well for any of us. So just a nice winter day with a morning coffee. I hope you get snow somewhere where you are. I don't think Stinger gets any snow. We'll just vicariously live through us, Stinger. But winter is going to be short-lived. Like Dad on the YouTube was doing his garden thing. I need to get on that action, but it's going to be a minute. I still got weeds to burn. There is no shortage of work to be done in that area, but Dad is definitely ahead of the game to me on that one. But hopefully everybody's looking at what you're thinking about planning. A little's better than nothing, you know. And if you've never done it, do some now and figure it out. As we say. There you go, Chipper. Planning as we speak. Oh, you're moving, Stinger. Oh, wow. Well, that's all good. Anytime you can get the clan together is always better, I guess. Say hello to Irish out there. Maybe you'll get to link up with him. He's got the big projects going, so that'd be good. But Yeah, for garden planting, a snow day like today is a good day to plan the garden output. I still got to finish my expansion project on the one side of the garden. Get the compost in there. See if we can get some better corn plot put in. Really need to get my potatoes going. I've not done good at potatoes any year, so potatoes is key because it's so much easier to grow potatoes than it is your wheats and your corn and stuff like that. Potatoes are much easier, but I've been a slacker on getting that going effectively. So I really need to bear down and see about getting the potatoes up and running at a high clip, because it's a good source and a good it's pretty simple to grow. Let's see what else. Obviously, tomatoes are our heavy hitters around here. We've done so good with tomatoes every year. Need to grow more cucumbers this year than last. See if the artichokes come back. See how they did over the winter. I really need to get on garlic. I'm slacking on the garlic too. Garlic's an off-season thing. You got to plant it before the season and whatnot. And I've been slacking on getting anything like that set up. But also, we got to hit carrots more than we did last year. We missed on the carrots. So, see if we can get our tomatoes and peas started here, so we can have some early summer success. Lettuce, cabbage, all the good stuff. I really need to figure out how to make sauerkraut. I'm gonna make some sauerkraut to have that superfood, right? Sauerkraut's a superfood, supposedly. That's really going to be part of it. Just, I mean, dang, you got that fire in Texas seemed to take a pretty good chunk out of the cattle industry out there. Like, things like this just keep mounting up. Like, the food supply system is in jeopardy. So do what you can to minimize its impact on you. What else we got with us? What is our list? Sauerkraut's easy, says Poison. Yeah, it's easy for you, maybe. Billy Bird, what is up? How you doing, Billy Bird? I haven't seen you in a minute. I think I've seen you in other chats, but not around here. I haven't done a live chat in so long. I think Billy only shows up to live chats. That's just like her thing. If you're not prepared to live like a hunted animal, you're not prepared at all. Well, that's a rough life to live. That is definitely a rough life to live. Well, that's a topic for a whole video. Living like a hunted animal. Like, escape and evasion is a real thing. It's a very difficult thing, but yeah, that's going to be a exciting time, I guess, when that comes around. But a lot of us are getting old. Most of us on here are getting old. Even Adventure Sky to the Galaxy, I think, is the young guy, and he's getting old. Like, most of us are getting too old to run, a little less getting close to too old to fight. Like, we're just basically in a stationary bunker situation, and that's all we got to offer in a lot of ways. So the speaking of being hunted, the drone situation, the use of drones, counter drone activity, kind of touched on it a while back. And I had the one big question video that I did on here, and Adventure Sky to Galaxy did the good. Basically, got a whole library of references on counter drone operations. I did a Twitter thread on all these different drone activities, developments, counter drone operations, developments. So there's a whole list of resources and stuff people are doing. The Russians have got a man-portable counter drone jamming pack thing that they're using. At the same time, the guy carries a shotgun around, like that's his job, is counter drone. There's a video of they've trained drones to move through forests pretty effortlessly. So thinking that you're going to use a forest as cover is probably not as useful as you used to think. It's moving forward at such a quick pace. A guy did a video, or it was on Twitter. A guy did a breakdown of he trained his drone to attack a image. Basically, you can upload any image you want to it, and to train it to attack that. And it was downright scary. So the world of the attack drones we know is here. The ability for a drone to attack you specifically is pretty much here as well. Because if some snuffy, without sitting in his basement going to high school, can program a drone and get all this accomplished, the government's already done it. So the killer drones are out there. Whether or not they got our picture or not, maybe that's why we should have stayed off camera more. I wonder how big of a hat I would have to wear, how much you have to change your appearance, to change your outline, to avoid that type of detection. That would be a difficult prospect. So there's lots of stuff going on in that world at the exponential rate that is just, it's like Terminator has arrived at our doorstep. What we got on here? Drone robot dogs, yep. Mylar must be a part of your Vade kit, says Billy. Yeah, Mylar blankets. The counter thermal. There was some videos on that recently on countering thermal detection. Not totally as hard as it sounds or looks, but it takes some understanding. That the surface area is what matters. Liberty says those fires in the grasslands of the Panhandle should burn off the weeds. Grasses should come in strong. Interesting perspective, I guess. But the impact of the cattle was pretty significant. How quickly can they replace the number of cattle injured and killed? I guess was the big concern, Liberty. But what you say makes sense too, because I guess weeds are the only thing left after this time of the winter. So the grasses are coming in the spring. I can see that, but having the cattle to graze it is the kind of the concern or issue at hand, and it's how much of that hits the food supply, Adventurous Guide to the Galaxy found a small YouTube channel in Europe. They make an anti-thermal coat trench coat. Works really good. Think about getting one. Interesting. So everybody's heard of a ghillie suit, right? The thing about you want to get your thermal layer, so a trench coat kind of works. It gives you some standoff distance between your body and the trench coat. So whatever you do, you got to have that space so that your body doesn't heat it up. So it actually masks and it has more air temperature than it does body temperature. So the layer, wherever that mylar or other layer goes on the outer garment, needs to be on the outermost with the insulation between you and that mylar layer or that reflective layer or whatever you want to call it, so that remains at air temperature. That's the real kicker. I remember we used to play with ghillie suits and thermals and night vision back in the day, and there were short-lived techniques to, you could, because you wanted to maintain your camouflage, right? So you line your ghillie suit with something, but you heat up so fast, it become overwhelming. There was techniques of using an umbrella. So you have this umbrella in front of you, or an umbrella-like structure, camouflaged with the mylar layer on the inside, facing you, or however you want to look at it. You can spray paint it so that it is not reflective. So that keeps the thermal layer imaging away from your body, and you just got to break up the outline so it doesn't have shape then, because the shape can still reveal you if you're, especially if you're in wooded areas or whatnot, or anywhere really. I guess anywhere in a cold environment like this, anything you can do to hold your body heat in would work. Once it gets hotter, you just need to blend with the background to a certain extent, just depending on what the temperature is. When it's really hot in the desert, you're at a certain point, you're cooler than the environment. So you got to look like you're hotter than as hot as the environment. So that's when it comes to, you got to have that outer layer at the same temperature as the air temperature, not your body temperature. Rob Painless in the house. What's up, Rob? You were far away from those Texas fires, weren't you, Rob? You weren't involved in that mix-up, were you? Uh-oh, we got a guns sighting. Guns Coast to Coast has arrived. We're good now. We can shut it down. We're on a 2-hour delay here, Guns, so we got to kick off a live chat. What 5K challenge? I didn't know. What's your 5K challenge? 30-minute head start. Your 1K gets your 5K. What are you talking about? Oh, oh, you're saying you can find anybody with your thermals? Yeah, thermals are really effective. You have to really work hard to avoid detection if you're under thermal observation. See, what I'll do, Guns, is I'll just set my flock of pigs loose at you, and you won't be able to tell if that's me or them, and I'll move up on your position. I'll put ghillie suits on all my pigs, so you won't be able to tell. Yeah, thermals are definitely effective. Having an understanding of defeating them and why, why would somebody be looking at you through thermals anyway, But and they have come down significantly in price. Thermal rifle scope, $3,000 is a solid entry point. Whereas even 6 years ago, thermals 10,000. So there's some entry point thermals that, yeah, it sounds high, but like Guns is saying, they are very distinct in getting you on a heat signature. You might not always be able to tell what it is, but there's something there. And it's one key thing is like, okay, a man walking's one thing, but a man low crawling compared to a coyote or another animal in the brush, like you got to get good at identifying and differentiating. That's where you got to practice with it, have your significant other go lay out behind the bush, in the ditch or whatever, compare the heat signature with, your dog or whatever running through the brush or woods or whatever. You got to just have the understanding of what it looks like. And different times of year, different clothing, all of it comes into play. So you got to know what you're looking for and what it looks like. So training is necessary, but it immediately puts you in the power curve of positive identification. For sure. Thermal drones are cheaper. Thermal drones. Goodness gracious. I'll go back to drones. Adventure Guide to Galaxy is going to come and set my homestead up, so I don't have to worry about drones. Yeah, we were just talking about that just a minute ago too. I got that whole thread on the Twitter just about drones, drone warfare, anti-drone, counter-drone ops. The rumor was, I don't think it was, it wasn't a video or anything, but I think the implication was that the Russians had a EMP grenade that they would use. That there was suspicion or talk about the Russians using a grenade level EMP device for this specific thing. And I think I said that way back in that video that I did back in the fall about, I need help figuring this out. Like, other than directional EMPs, and I guess a grenade wouldn't be directional, but being able to implement something like that on the front line or where you need it would be useful. Poison wants a stinger drone, a thermal drone, yeah. Surplus thermal sights, yeah. Yeah, anything you can get in that realm is going to be beneficial, either with or without, any of this other stuff we're talking about. Yeah, definitely beneficial. So get all the things. Well, maybe not all the things, but get what things you find useful and can provide a force multiplier when you need it. I think that's the takeaway from most of this. Everybody can't have everything, but if each of us have something, if you think about how you got your team set up or something like that, if everybody has a little something that you can help share, force multipliers, could go a long way. So we're at about 42 minutes. With that, it's March. We're going to enjoy the snow here while it's still lingering. Supposed to get some more this week. So winter's still in full swing here. I don't know what y'all are doing. Dad on YouTube's down in shorts working on his garden, so it's a little bit different for everybody, but there'll be no I think it was Steve, Corsair Trainer, checked in on me. He's like, "Are you buried?" It's like, no, Tahoe kept most of it, but I'm definitely not starting a garden. Not at this point. So we're supposed to get some more snow this week, I guess, and we'll clear out and get your stuff started here in a few weeks to a month. And hey, we're on the same schedule, mid-May, about the time frame we start getting it out there in the ground. So by Labor Day, we're full swing around here. That's when it really goes hard to get anything in the ground and get going without delay at that point. And I think I covered it last year, like do your first planting of some of your below ground turnips and stuff, and then a second plant. I think I did 3 plantings of turnips last year, and radishes. Those did really well. Radishes, I think I got figured out. I got to get back. I think I kind of got so focused on them, I didn't really get much carrots in, so I got to get some carrots. And carrots store well. We eat a lot of carrots too. Turnip greens. So let's see those garden videos. Once you start doing that thing, are you I guess Adventure Guide to Galaxy? I guess you're gardening all year round. You got something going at any time. You don't have to stop gardening. You just have to kind of switch gears, right? You just jump from one thing to the next, one plant. You can plant anything through the winter where you're at, can't you? Pretty much, I would imagine. And they're just covered. cover it up if it freezes, or just protect it for a short stint. You don't have to worry about the white stuff on the ground like here. So you're in a pretty good position. You and Steve got that going for you. You got some good all year round growing conditions. Just have to flex a little bit when it does get a little cold or chilly. Too many Karens and Darrens? What does that mean, Billy? Oh. Karens and Darrens, huh? That's funny. It's all good. Oh, what else is going on, I guess? Other than the world situation, the debt, the immigration crisis, turning into an invasion, turning into that's how we're going to lock down the U.S. with 2 Chinese divisions. I don't know. It's hard to say. Adventurous says the only time I have to worry about wintertime, it freezes overnight. But yeah, bring them inside if they can. Yeah. The dry season switch up tents. You have a dry season down there? I didn't know that. I thought it was just wet and wetter. We need to work an exchange. You need to send me some oranges or something for some pig or something like that. Let me think here for a second. 45 minutes in. Good crew going today. Thanks for checking in. Kind of impromptu. Whoa. I'm about ready to run into Steve's time, ain't I? I'll get off here because I know Steve goes live. I didn't think about it. I don't want to get into Steve's time, so everybody go check out Steve. We'll leave you guys here, and I'm sure he'll pick up the conversation of whatever he talks about. But yeah, I forgot it's Monday, and he does. I'm going to go catch him because I never get to catch him. So we'll see you over at Corsair Trainers, everybody. Go be a rower. Don't be a lurker. And prep hard. Live free. How did I get off this thing? They've changed that format here. Well, how do you turn this off?